Let me start my question with the marriage, the institution ba. Okay, marriage magod is a relatively uh, new invention, right? I mean, the way we use marriage ang kamanion karong mga panahon na is a relatively new concept. Can you remind me, and maybe tell everybody unsa magyuning kamanion, when did this whole institution of marriage start?
Well, I remember that question coming out, and I did some research, and it's not that old.
Mhm.
I thought that marriage has been around for thousands of years. There were unions, and they had different processes, but the process that we use today is only about maybe a couple hundred years. It was different before. It was the union of people, but basically it's the same. It's just that now there's a formal process, and then each country has different requirements. It's for the protection of both parties. It's in our constitution, the family code book, also as far as how to protect the family, because the Philippines considers the family as uh, very important. So protection of the family, the children and the spouses and all that. So, but like dissolution of marriages exists all over the world except the Philippines. Philippines is the last to have
And the
divorce.
Vatican, right? And the Vatican, of course,
Of
right?
course, the Vatican. Yeah.
From what I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, kanang kaminyoon, the institution of marriage, the purpose of that initially was something else. It wasn't, for people who are in love, and they would have like a kind of union, right? Lahi man kuno tong purpose atong marriage atong una. From what I understood, more man to keep kuno wealth kuno from within or something like that.
Yeah, that's part of it. No, so the family code book covers that. So there's such a thing though as a prenup, where you have an agreement as far as the assets are concerned, or the family, or the. So the way it works, a normal or standard union, both parties shares the fruits of the labor, because you're basically a team. So both of you working together, so you both share the benefits of that.
Kaya kana kunong mahigugma, that was a form of rebellion back then. Magminyo mo kay nahigugma mo sa inyohang you love each other, right? Because the original intention of marriage before was really to make sure that wealth is kept from within a certain family, or something like that. So to get married because of love was a kind of act of rebellion. Can you enlighten me on that
Yeah,
story?
it's not exact, no. Kaning ang atong pagpahayag ini dili kanang 100%, no.
Mm-mm.
Kay lahi man gud na ang lain-lain mga tao, lain sa ang tuyo ana. That's why
Mm-mm.
sometimes I look at it that the marriage contract itself, which is a legal binding, is one form. Duna sa kana religious binding, that's also different. And then there's what you call your personal commitment to each other. Kaya na may daghang mga tao din sa ato nga dili gyapon maminyo sa formal process, no. In fact, it's covered in the family code book. I forget what the term was. I didn't prepare for that one, but there's a term when people live together and everybody already
Common law,
considers their.
common law.
Well, common law is one of it, but there's a term for it. It's not informal marriage. There's a term for it. But there is, yeah.
Mhm.
It's like having your live-in partner or
Mhm.
something. So dinhi magud sa Pilipinas daghang tao nga dili ka afford sa proseso or sa celebration, no, kay grabe kayong gasto ana niya sa uban diha nga ang tibuok barangay maapil. So it's really a commitment between two people, and then the marriage itself, going through the formal process, is more of a contract, and that way both parties are protected by the law.
Mhm.
As far as you're right, it's all about the assets.
Mhm. Anya paghuman kita ray naso diri sa kalibutan, except for the Vatican, of course, nga which is not a real nation, nga walay dissolution of marriage or divorce, right? Unsa imuhang stand na Mimo unya ngano man nganong wa man tay na divorce diri sa Pilipinas? I know that we're a Christian nation and all that stuff, but is that good for society nga walay diborsyo, or how do you feel about that?
Um, personal opinion ni siya, no? Of course, as far as religion is concerned, they have their own culture and their own beliefs. Like that, one of the main reasons why we don't have, well, technically we do have divorce. If you're Muslim in the Philippines, you can get a divorce.
Interesting.
So there is an exception to the rule. But 90% of the population in the Philippines are still Christian, and Christians are not supposed to have, well, Catholics are not supposed to have divorce. And so the church is against the divorce, and their influence is still quite strong with the government. And so that's why we don't have divorce in this country. Whether it's good or not, I'm mixed. No, I can understand that not having divorce increases the commitment of the individuals. You have to find a solution to your if you have problems. I mean, people get divorced because there are problems. If there were no problems, why will they get divorced? So it adds a extra effort to find a solution. And there are marriage counselors. And sometimes, if your marriage is really bad and you have no choice, then you go to a marriage counselor to try to figure out. But ang sakto gyung buhaton is dili sa mo maminyo unless nga masigurado na mo nga sakto gyud ang inyong partnership. Yeah, lisod man gud na because traditionally, I mean, even way in the past, it's like couples, there are things that couples cannot do until they are married. And so there's no way for you to find out if both partners are compatible until after the marriage. And if the marriage doesn't work, then there's no exit. Kay, lahi man gud nang kapuyo gyud mo. Kay, kanang magsige lang mag-date. Every time nga mag-date ka, di ba? Muanda mangyud ka sa imong kaugalingon, no? So,
show your best foot forward.
Yeah, best foot forward. Oh, ligo ka.
Maligo.
Toothbrush, hinapay. Kapuyo na mo, ipukaws buntag, iniglingi ni mo. Kitsa man ni mo kaila, kay wa na make-up. Wa ka kiba, bad breath ba? Kaya wa pananot brush. So those are things that are, bisag karon nga isigi tagkatawa, pero importante na siya. Wa ka kiba nga, inigabot is buy nga, sa banyo mismo kinsay ang unsang klase nga shampoo, unsang klase nga sabon niya, mag-away na di ay tungod ana, no? It's the little things actually that count. And so, it's not our culture here in the past did not encourage people to live with each other.
No premarital sex, that's also not allowed by
that's right,
Catholic Church, right?
By the church.
Oh.
And that's an important factor in a marriage. And you don't know if you're compatible. I mean, for 1,000 reasons. I mean, we can discuss that privately, but I don't think we should do it on the air. But there are many theories that I have, and I can understand why that can be a cause of problems in the future. Sometimes when couples when you get attracted to each other, it's for different reasons. There's the physical attraction, and that's the number one incentive for people who want to get into a relationship. Whereas you don't know if you're compatible mentally and emotionally. Kanang kasabot mo silang intricacies. There are little things nga makalagot o doon na kay kuyog. Ginagmay lang, manggagmay. Tanawa ko si mong text. Tanawa, I mean, things like that. That, why problema, naanad na kaginguna na, why problema? O di ka ganahan na, you're very private about these things and your partner is the same way, then there's no problem also. But if one is extreme compared to the other one, or maybe little things like type of food you like to eat.